In 1978, a villager in Beilu County, Guangxi, was digging on a hillside when his spade hit something hard. He removed the soil and exposed a huge metal object. What he had discovered astonished heritage experts. It was the largest bronze drum ever found in China. 1.65 meters across and weighing more than 300 kilos, it was soon being called the King of Bronze Drums. Most surviving bronze drums are marked by a vertical line dividing them into two equal halves. On the two sides of this line, the designs are roughly symmetrical. As early as the Xia dynasty, some 4,000 years ago, bronze drums were cast using two or more molds. Molten bronze was poured into the cavity between an outer and inner mold. After the bronze had cooled, the molds were broken and the bronze drum was revealed. The Wei brothers used the same principle. They developed a complete manufacturing process, from mixing the sand and assembling the molds to embossing, casting, and dismantling them, and polishing, coloring, aging, and tuning the drums. The traditional technique employed by the Wei brothers is several thousand years old. Sand is the main material used in making the mold. Moist sand is normally used. How it is mixed is vital, as the mold must be able to withstand the high temperature of the molten bronze. Wei Qican experimented with mixing several different materials into the sand with the aim of increasing its resistance to high temperatures. He was particularly interested in a type of mud used by farmers to line their stoves. It takes years of exposure to fire for the mud lining the stove to become hard and fire resistant. Wei Qican discovered that this mud lining, if it was ground into fine grains and mixed with sand, would produce a compound that was not damaged by molten bronze. He puts two molds together and places them on a disc. How the outer and inner molds are fixed together is very important. It will decide the thickness, shape, and ornamentation of the finished bronze drum. Sand is used to fill the space between the outer and inner molds. The sand is compacted using a specially designed hammer. The force of the pounding must be just right. If the sand is too loose, it becomes difficult to shape the mold. Too compact, and there will be no ventilation. Sand is poured into the cavity in batches. Pounding the sand requires both experience and strength. It's a monotonous job that takes a great deal of skill.
学武功一样，用内力，太用力气多也不行，太累了，要自然一点。
The technique is mastered through experience. Anyone trying it for the first time quickly finds their shoulders and arms getting sore and weak. Wei Qican scrapes the sandy surface of the mold smooth. After filling the drum mold with sand, he encircles it with 4 fan-shaped iron pieces, which he secures with buckles. These 4 pieces form the outer girdle for casting the drum's body. He cleans the surface of the drumhead mold and positions it on top of the body mold. Both sides must match exactly. Then he fills the gap between the drum body mold and the outer mold with sand, which he compresses with a hammer. Next, he clears away any loose sand. Wei closes the outer drumhead mold. When he was filling the cavity, he placed 4 small pieces of wood inside. They will be taken out later to leave 4 holes for pouring the molten bronze into the mold. Again, he pounds the sand. After the cavity in the drumhead mold has been filled with sand, he undoes the girdles and removes the mold. Now he's removing the outer mold. Then he removes the drum body mold. He sprays a special mixture of mineral aggregates evenly over the inner mold. It's made from a secret Wei family formula. The main ingredient is talcum powder. Embossing the drumhead calls for experience and skill. Once the job is started, there can be no interruption. The sensitivity and intensity of even the most skilled craftsman is different, so sharing the work will undermine the beauty and coordination of the designs. Wei Qi-can finds the work more and more difficult the older he gets. So usually his son, Wei Xinjiang, does it. The ornamentation and figures contain a wealth of information about the ancient past. The sun features most prominently on bronze drums from southern China. The bronze drums also have many abstract lines on them. The single spirals resemble wisps of clouds. The overlapping rhombuses look like thunder. The last step involving the molds for casting a bronze drum is their assembly. The drum body and drumhead molds have been removed, leaving a narrow space between the outer and inner girdles. The crucible with the molten bronze in it weighs more than 50 kilos. The temperature is above 1,000 degrees. The movements must be well coordinated to ensure that the molten bronze is poured evenly. A few drops of the scorching bronze instantly burn through clothes. The outer girdle is lifted. The 4 pieces of the outer girdle are removed, and a new bronze drum is revealed. The screws securing the inner girdle are removed. Bit by bit, Wei Qi-tan digs out the tightly packed sand. Then he removes the inner girdle. The bronze drum is still in a rough state and needs polishing, coloring, aging, and tuning. The tone of a bronze drum is determined by the combination of various metal elements and its thickness. The freshly cast bronze drum is polished to give it the ideal acoustic quality and tone. The last step is to weld on the ornamental frogs. Frogs are the most commonly used ornament on bronze drums. Historical records tell us that up to the Tang Dynasty, the Chinese regarded the frog as the spirit of the bronze drum. Many ethnic groups called their bronze drums frog drums. Some scholars have argued that frogs were associated with praying for rain. In Southeast Asia, in ancient times, the belief was widespread that frogs could mysteriously summon rain.